Welcome to The Voice of Survivors, a podcast that shares stories of strength and success after domestic violence from the Australian charity Broken to Brilliant. The charity was founded by domestic violence survivors, and our mission is to mentor fellow survivors who are creating a new chapter in their lives, helping them to rebuild after abuse.
And welcome back.
Welcome to The Voice.
Excuse me, we're getting used to that. That was a wonderful intro. And with me is a lovely dear friend who has been doing the course with me. I am a survivor of domestic violence from a childhood up until about 3 years ago, the hold on me. So I'm here with a fellow survivor, and in her own words and her own journey, she will have hers. But I think I really want to start with the tree of life, if you don't mind, because part of our journey, while we're learning self-esteem and we're learning boundaries, we've worked for 8 weeks on a tree of life, and we started each week, and each week had a topic or a theme. And the first one was, the mulch, and we were talking last night about how that mulch can be very poisonous and how do we work? Very toxic. So, and then last night when we all met, this is our last, we do a retreat, and last night you came in with your...
Hasn't that been great, the retreat?
It has. But you've come in with this, oh my gosh, this beautiful, beautiful tree of life.
I guess that's what life is, isn't it? It's beautiful, and it's supposed to be so beautiful, but as survivors, we're taken away from that beauty.
How do you find that beauty when it's so painful?
I think you find it in your values that you've had since you were a kid. Like you've got to really, really hold on to yourself.
So when we talk about being a survivor, I've got my hand on your shoulder because I know we've been together now. We know the pain. We know each other's body language enough. And if this is too hard, I can just start with a more basic question. But can you share with me what some of your values, what holds you, what grounds you to? I guess for me, I value that I really know is true in myself. Love.
Yeah, love, kindness.
Yeah.
Connection.
And you certainly gave that to me every week.
Authenticity.
Authenticity, yeah.
Yeah. Just being true to you.
Yeah. Why don't we start then with how did you find stepping stones? Because each of us have a different story on how we were able to find the program.
Yeah, the program was really thorough, and it delved into every area that you're affected by with coming out of such a relationship. And one of them was grief and loss. And I think that was such an eye-opener to everybody in the group, and it connected, because when you leave, I left, and at the time I left there was all these signposts everywhere saying, get out, we'll help you. You don't have to put up with domestic violence. Say no, it's not okay. And I actually thought that, when I got out there would be a lot of support there. But it's like everybody thinks that as soon as you're out it's going to be okay. And it's not okay. Because there is so much grief there of everything that your life that you've lost, because it's been controlled. Every little inch of your life has been controlled.
I'm interested very much to firstly acknowledge how brave the step for you to leave, how brilliant I hear all the women say, you know, I've got 2 jobs now, or I'm working here, and they're so just incredible. But a lot of women are yet to find that. Now, you started with saying the grief after leaving. May I commend you for your bravery to leave. The grief, however, what in particular really grabbed you when we did that day of grief? I mean, it wasn't like someone died. It wasn't as if, you know, you're missing someone. The grief is completely a different model. It's not Elizabeth Kubler-Ross on the signs or the stages of grief. Nobody ever told me about grief with surviving or being a domestic survivor or being a victim. What was it for you?
It was the loss of life. Yeah, which when we talk about grief, that's what we think. We think about losing somebody and losing their physical body from the earth. But in domestic violence, you lose your physical yourself.
Yeah.
You lose who you are.
Yes.
And you're controlled with who you should be.
Yeah. And who was that? Who were you supposed to be? What was that sign?
I was supposed to be somebody that wasn't allowed to talk. I wasn't allowed to communicate. Every time that I opened my mouth, it was shut down. You know, either by 1,000 questions, and that could have been just on me asking, how was your day? And then I'd get 30 questions back just on a simple sentence.
Yeah.
Or it would be, you're stupid, you don't know what you're talking about. And that was, to every single word that came out of my mouth, there was an aggressive and a humiliating, emotionally abusive.
And was it like okay, I'm going to plan for the answers, or how do you find? Did you go, I don't know how I'm going to be able to answer this, or
You just stop talking.
yeah, yeah,
You just stop talking because it's safer.
yeah.
And
And was that even safe when you stopped talking?
no, that wasn't safe. That wasn't safe because then something else turn around. It's just like living with coercive control is waking up to 1,000 shards of glass dropping on you every day.
Straight away, right?
Yeah, straight away. Because there's always something that you're doing wrong, or there's some gameplay that's at hand.
Did you lose your navigating instinct, your sense of, hey, you lose your gut feeling? Did you? I mean, you say there's values there, right? But I guess what I'm trying to allude to is, when we talked about when everything in our body, just, the hairs stand up or something feels right, that's that inner self that just knows. Did you still have that?
Yes, I think I did.
Wow.
Yeah, because that's what keeps you going. That's what keeps you there.
Wow.
That tender caress of your mum cuddling you all those years ago and saying,
That's what you would immediately resort to, is the love of that moment. Was your protective bubble to know what that love and to feel safe was.
And I grew up in a family, and we were very connected. We were a really loving family.
Yeah.
And my mum actually would foster children that had been through abusive, families, had abusive families, and she would foster them into our family, and I still remember some of the bruises some of those kids had. And, my mum was a really loving mum, and she came from a family of 9, and so every weekend it was family and it was connection.
And these children that would come to you, what were the around the ages?
Oh, they were 3, 5, 6, really, really young.
And as a child, these pure children, how are you able to be loving, or when they've come into your home and you know that they're going to be okay because they're with your mum? What I guess what I'm trying to say is how did it look for you? How were you able to? Was it a lot of watching what your mum was doing, or?
I don't know. I think it was just it was organic love. It was selfless. It was, it was just pure love.
Do you know that's what you are every time I see you? You're so organic. Organic love.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
And that's what's important, and that's what I had to hold on to, that there was beauty in this world, and, I just had to hold on to that.
That light.
That love, and that love that I got when I was little. And, in those times where you just couldn't move and you
And when we say we couldn't move, are we talking about dissociating, or are we talking about in that moment frozen?
Those frozen moments when it's just so hard and you've done everything you can.
Yes.
And you're in the shower and you're just crying and crying because you just got nothing left, and you can't play that game anymore. That game that he's constantly on.
Yes. And so how did you find Stepping Stones?
Stepping Stones. I've been with Broken to Brilliant and been involved in their programs since I left.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's been amazing.
Where did Broken to Brilliant come into place for you?
I went to a Women's Empowerment Day up at Sunshine Coast.
Now I've heard about this. Yeah. Yep.
And Kate, and I was on stage, and she was just a really powerful presentation.
Am I allowed to ask about you being on stage? Was it you on stage that you said? What were you doing?
No, it was Kate on stage.
Kate on stage. Now I'm going to swing it to 360 because okay, you know what I'm like. Now I did hear last night that you have been a performer in the past. What was that you performed?
I performed in Circus in a Teacup.
And what is a circus in a teacup?
Circus in a Teacup is where a bunch of women that got together that are fellow survivors, and we performed at QPAC, and it was just amazing. We gathered together every week, and practiced our skills.
Did you come up with this concept together?
Yes.
And you're telling me that together, this was what you named it? What did you know what to perform? How did the group evolve into...
Well, it was actually commissioned with Volcana Circus.
Yes.
Yeah. And they took us through the moves and the acrobatics and the aerials.
Really?
And, I didn't do the aerials, but some other amazing women did the aerials.
Okay.
And
If I'm in the QPAC audience, all right, and I'm coming to see Circus in a Teacup, what is it that I'm seeing?
Okay, so the opening scene was we're all standing there in the darkness.
Yes. And the lights are, everything's dark.
And everything's dark.
Yep.
And
I can picture that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're on stage, and
Are you all together?
we're all together,
Yep.
and we're just standing there. And as the light comes to us, one by one, we're into a power pose, and each of us had a power pose that was really significant and important to our journey.
For the listeners, if you're a Ted Lasso fan, there's a moment where Rebecca is showing Keely and some other women,
Yeah.
this is my bear pose. You know, this is where you find your courage. And so she puts her arms up high, and as she brings the hands down the elbows to the side, you just see her face raw, and you see the moment where Keely says, I've effing got this.
Yeah.
Is that sort of the essence of the pose?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. And I've got this. I've got
That's your strength pose.
It is, and it consumes you, and it's just that all-empowering movement that empowers.
So, from the lights coming on to each of you in your power pose, then
we went into, there was nature and resilience, and it was, we had these furniture props where a wardrobe would become something that was moved around on the stage, and inside that wardrobe there would be two performers who were just trapped, and they couldn't get away, and they didn't know whether outside was safe or not. And so they'd have in this small wardrobe with these acrobatic poses of the women, one up the top of the, even sitting back to back in the wardrobe.
Got you. To hold that.
Yeah, and then there was, they'd come out of the wardrobe, and then we'd be all together in a line, and we'd be walking up the backs of each other, and one of us would be then come on top of the wardrobe, and we would say our nature pose that we had created, which was a small pose of 20 to 30 words that just said,
And is it a symbolic bravery of, I can imagine holding a pose in a closed closet for me signifies the weight of having to hold that posture. I mean, you have to fall and crack at one stage.
Absolutely.
And to come out of the wardrobe being the bubble, am I looking at now when the first stage of actually coming out of this wardrobe and this pose, is it seeing others? Is that what happens there?
Yeah, at some points.
Yes.
There was seeing others.
And
at other points it was just going back into the darkness.
Okay.
And then coming back out again.
Yeah. So it wouldn't be in the significance of being a survivor. What we're saying is this: if this is correct, it doesn't take one action. It can take many, many more going backwards and forths.
Yeah.
Going back into the wardrobe, holding the pose, until you can have a little bit more time to come out and be brave. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, that's it. One of my scenes was where I was sitting on the lounge, and I'd packed my suitcase ready to go, and this suitcase was symbolic.
Yes.
And I'd have it beside me, and then all of a sudden it would be moved, and I wouldn't know who had moved it, but it had been moved, and I'd have to go and pick this suitcase up again and put it beside me, and I had to do the action about 6 times, and that is symbolic of how many times it takes a woman to leave domestic violence. Sometimes, she can leave, but then she has to go back because she's so reliant on the perpetrators.
Now, I'm not going to say some, and I'm new to being podcasting and my articulation and perhaps what I could describe. I'm still coming into that. That's just me, my ADHD brain. But my curiosity here is...
But you're brilliant.
Oh, I know, I love
just
you.
Just a natural.
Just listening to you, it's just incredible. I'd love to leave for you that suitcase. If he saw it, was that a secretive or was that a process in itself? Or could you just leave, or did you have to be very careful?
You have to be very careful. You have to hide, the documents, and you have to have all the... It's such a...
So the suitcase itself is very, 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 I think, critical here in knowing you've made that decision.
You've made that decision to leave. You just can't take it anymore.
And now you're getting all your smarts together.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. You need all your documents. You need to have try and put a little bit of cash away so you can got that ready when you need to leave.
Absolutely. But so incredibly brave.
And things for your kids.
Yeah.
And
your love as a person is so genuine. I could always hug you. I can always hold your hand. Even if I was having a bad day, you would hold mine.
Absolutely. Let's hug now.
Yeah, let's hug now. Thank you so much for this. So thank you for letting me in, get to know so much more about you.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to finish off other than I just want to keep saying, I really want this tree of life of yours to be framed. It is wonderful. It is really, really, really magnificent, and it really does demonstrate each topic. Each week we talk about the mulch, the roots. Then
I really enjoyed doing the mulch.
You can just...
I remember I did it in class when we were talking about it, and Mother Bear was saying, it's the crap. It's the crap that you're told every single day, and the words that just hit your heart like a knife, like a stabbing knife going right through. And all the things that you hear over and over again. You're shit. You're stupid. Nobody loves you. Yeah, you're just useless. You're an ant. You're the lowest form of life. You've just got nothing. And nobody wants you except for me. I'm the only one that's going to put up with you.
It makes... there's always the investigator in me. In my life, it's always... I'm a narrative learner, so I'm always looking how... I guess to me, that was his own fear for himself.
Yeah.
The thing he feared most
was
what he was exhibiting outwardly.
Yeah, he's projecting.
I am not saying that is okay, because the methods in which was in absolutely no way excusable, justifiable, or legal. But I must say, if we could have a justice system that could apply that a lot earlier, you are just so remarkable, stronger to perform at QPAC and to make this beautiful Circus in a Teacup. That's just beautiful. That's a lot of strength.
Great.
A lot of strength just pouring out.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, thank you for allowing me to get you whilst you're having a cup of tea.
Yes.
There we are.
Green tea.
And to all our listeners.
And thank you for having me on.
I love you.
I love you too. Sister.
Sister forever.
It is inspirational to hear these stories and how people want to pay it forward, turning the Broken to Brilliant mission into a reality. You can listen and download the podcasts from the brokentobrilliant.org website, where you will also find information about all our books and programs. By buying and reading our books, you support the charity, and the stories will help you recognise the red flags of abuse. You will be in awe of the strength and courage it takes for survivors to leave and rebuild their lives. All books in the series are available in print, ebook, and audiobook. You can send a message of hope and kindness by gifting a book to domestic violence survivors through the Give a Book program. Visit the website brokentobrilliant.org to find out more. Thank you for listening.